Low promoted markets. This is Hura, and I'm here to see what happened in the UK Central Bank meeting, the Bank of England meeting on May 2025, May 8th, and what they decided and what happened in the market, how market reacted to these decisions. First of all, let's see what was the decision. So Bank of England cut the rates by 25 basis point as in line with expectations. However, what's the difference between the central bank, UK central bank, and other countries is the number of the votes. Usually, the central bank in United Kingdom, they publish the number of the voters, how many votes which members they voted for what policy. Before the meeting, market expecting all nine MPC members to vote for 25 basis point rate cuts. But the thing is changed a little bit. Here, we had five members voting for 25 basis point rate cut, but two others, they voted for not cutting the rate and holding the rate at 4.5%, while two other members, they voted for 0.50% or 50 basis point rate cut. So they think what happened is that two members out of these nine members voted for more than expected rate cuts, and two members, they voted for not cutting the rate, for holding their current rate. That's why four members, they had a different idea, and five members, they had a 25 basis point rate cut. They voted for 25 basis point rate cut. So the final result is 25 basis point rate cut is decided with five against four votes. Generally, this decision means what that decision shows that the UK economy is really uncertain, the economic outlook. That's why the policy members, even the policy members, they are really confused somehow about the outlook of the UK economy. However, at the same time, we can see that the statement says that we shouldn't be also too much gave us too much weight on the especially on the Mr. Trump's tariffs, what the U.S. tariffs had, what the U.S. tariff, how the U.S. tariff actually can affect in the UK economy generally. The central bank means that the central bank decision means that we don't still know how that tariffs going to affect the UK economy. However, we shouldn't forget that generally between the UK and US, if you look at the trade balance, UK export to the US is much less than UK's import from the United States. That's why the tariffs cannot affect the UK economy too much. However, we can see that the UK economy started to slowing down from mid-2024, while the latest data shows that at the same time, the labor markets data shows that the wages growth is a little bit more than expected, and especially with the bonuses, with the higher bonuses. So now we can say that with slowing economy, there is inflation risk also slightly growing. That's why two members, they voted for holding the current rate at the as the inflation risk is also growing. 12 months inflation fell to 2.6%. However, in March, inflation increased to 2.8%. So that's why generally we can say that the UK economy is slightly slowing down and inflation is slightly increasing. We can see that in the expectation also that the UK economy, UK central bank, expecting that the GDP to increase by 0.6% in the first quarter, while for the second quarter, they expect the GDP growth to fall to 0.1%. So that's the risk of lower economic growth, while for the inflation, they are still slightly concerned. They have more concerns about the fate of inflation. So generally, the central bank's members, they are really somehow now we have three different ideas in the UK central bank. The people that they think this slightly slow continuing the rate cut is fine. Some other members, the other part, they believe that we should go faster in the rate cut. While the different part, there's a third part that they divided into three different groups. The third group believes that there is a risk of inflation, the risk of inflation also increasing. So we need to be more careful and cautious about how we are going to cut their rates. So generally, what we can understand from this statement and from this economic activities and economic outlook in the UK central bank, that economy is not going too well. The inflation risk is still high, while there is an uncertainty playing much more important roles compared to other concerns. So uncertainty is most important concerns right now. That's more than even the concerns of the slowing down. So that's what we can understand from the UK central bank's meeting, from the meeting minutes, from the economic summary, expectations, and inflation expectations. So let's see how these expectations and how this statement and decisions going to affect the markets. Opening the chart shows us that the world GBP, UK's pound, British pound, while it was slowing down against US dollar, especially with the stronger USD after yesterday's Fed meeting, especially after that, the GBP was losing the ground against the dollar. But this decisions, especially this decision, those votes of holding the current rate, means that we should be more cautious. That's supported slightly British pound against this process, especially against US dollar, especially against euro. So that's why we can see that GBP USD can continue its side movement, which is started from mid-April. That can still continue for midterm, short and midterm. We expect the side movement to continue between 1.32 and 1.35, and we are not going. So, I mean, these numbers shows that the UK economy is uncertain. We have to wait for more evidence. That's why the slight movement for British pound is more likely. However, on the other hand, this uncertainty is killing the economy. So that's why we expect the UK 100 or UK stock markets, which they were increasing recently in recent weeks, it can end its uptrend here below 8,720. It can end and limit its uptrend and slightly start to correction towards lower levels. So we are negative. We can say natural with a negative tendency about the UK stock markets, and natural about this decision could be natural for British pound, especially against US dollar. For GBP USD, we are natural. Side movements is our expectations. While for the UK stock markets, we are natural with the downside risk and or downside tendency. So that's what happened in the UK central bank or BOE meeting, the Bank of England meeting, what they decided, how was the votes member, and how was market reaction, and what we are expected from the market. If you had any other question, don't forget to write down in the comment section. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Have a good time. Bye.